Welcome back to the Rules Plus podcast for the lucky 13th episode. As I closed last week's episode, I indulged myself with a mini rant about the persistent myth about scrimmage kicks that goes, if the ball doesn't cross the neutral zone, it isn't a kick. There wasn't time then, but there is now, to elaborate on why busting that myth is not simply a pedantic, finicky exercise of pique. Busting that myth, therefore, provides the appropriate segue into the next sibling rules dyad I've committed myself to discuss. Kicks that cross the neutral zone versus passes that cross the neutral zone. I think you'll find that with the background this discussion provides, the importance of busting the not a kick myth will be evident. So let me talk about the points of comparison that I'll use to contrast passes versus scrimmage kicks in terms of whether the ball crosses the neutral zone. If you haven't already guessed, let me be clear up front that the focus of this discussion is forward passes and scrimmage kicks, though there will be incidental references to backward passes and unsuccessful field goals. Contrary to what we've seen in the sibling rules comparisons I've addressed up till now, comparing the provisions governing passes and scrimmage kicks is actually relatively easy because provisions for each of these sibling play types are largely grouped as a set of provisions within one rule in each case. Rule 7 for passes and Rule 6 for scrimmage kicks. More specifically, Section 3 of Rule 7 covers the forward pass, and Section 3 of Rule 6 covers scrimmage kicks, though Rule 6 also includes the important information about kick-catch interference in Section 4 and about fair catches in Section 5. It shouldn't surprise you that provisions for forward passes can be handled largely with one section, while provisions for scrimmage kicks must be handled largely within 3 sections. This difference supports our universal dread as officials for the twists and complications that kicking downs always seem to introduce. In my view, Rules 7 and 6 address 8 common elements of each type of down that I will use to organize a point-by-point comparison both within and between the 2 types of plays to answer 2 questions about each of the 8 common elements. Question 1 is whether the loose ball crossing the neutral zone changes anything, and question 2 is whether the impact of the loose ball crossing the neutral zone is the same for a pass play as for a scrimmage kick play. The 8 elements are these: 1. Eligibility to touch the loose ball. 2. Eligibility to advance the loose ball. 3. How eligibility can be gained later. 4. How eligibility is impacted when a player goes out of bounds. 5. Freedom for ineligible players to advance downfield. 6. Freedom for interfering with eligible players attempting to catch the loose ball. 7. Restrictions on batting the loose ball. And 8. Restrictions on kicking the loose ball. Element 1. Pass versus scrimmage kick. Eligibility to touch the loose ball. For a pass play, at the snap, all Team B players are eligible to touch a pass. Certain Team A players are eligible to touch a pass based on their position in the formation and the number they wear. Initial eligibility is not affected by whether a forward pass crosses the neutral zone. Other factors may affect a player's eligibility to touch a pass, but not that one. To state the obvious, all Team B players may touch a pass, and Team A players who lined up on the end of the line or in the backfield and who do not where a number between 50 through 79, inclusive, may touch a pass, regardless of whether the pass crosses the neutral zone. For a scrimmage kick play, at the snap, every player is eligible to touch the kick. Team A players lose that eligibility when the kick crosses the neutral zone, which means the ball touching something beyond the neutral zone. So, unlike for a pass play, the factor of whether the loose ball crosses the neutral zone does matter with regard to this element of a scrimmage kick play: eligibility to touch the ball. So, for element 1, eligibility to touch, there is an important difference between passes and kicks. For passes, the neutral zone is irrelevant. For kicks, the neutral zone is critically important. Element 2, pass versus scrimmage kick, eligibility to advance the loose ball. For a pass play, any player eligible to touch the ball may advance the ball if he catches it, regardless of whether he does so behind or beyond the neutral zone. For a kick play, any player eligible to touch the ball may advance the ball if he catches or recovers it, but only until the loose ball crosses the neutral zone. After that, only Team B players may advance the ball. So for element 2, eligibility to advance, there is an important difference between passes and kicks. For passes, the neutral zone is irrelevant. For kicks, the neutral zone is critically important. Element 3, pass versus scrimmage kick, how eligibility can be gained later. For a pass play, an ineligible Team A player becomes eligible when a loose ball is touched by any opponent or an official. No Team B player is ineligible, so touching has no impact. The neutral zone is irrelevant. For a kick play, every player is eligible if the ball has not crossed the neutral zone, but Team A players become ineligible when the ball does cross the neutral zone. However, all Team A players then become eligible if Team B touches the ball beyond the neutral zone. So for element 3, regaining eligibility, there is an important difference between passes and kicks. For passes, the neutral zone is irrelevant. For kicks, the neutral zone is, again, critically important. Element 4, pass versus scrimmage kick, how eligibility is impacted by going out of bounds. For a pass play, an offensive player loses his eligibility if he voluntarily goes out of bounds, regardless of whether the pass crosses the neutral zone. For a kick play, an offensive player loses his eligibility and, in fact, loses his right to participate further during the down if he voluntarily goes out of bounds, regardless of whether the kick crosses the neutral zone. The very act of returning in bounds is a foul, regardless of whether he ever touches the ball. So for element 4, the impact of going out of bounds, there is agreement between passes and kicks, at least with regard to the neutral zone being irrelevant. The plays do differ with respect to what foul a player commits, but not with respect to whether crossing the neutral zone has any impact on there being a foul. But there is a technicality here worth noting. In the case of a kick, the enforcement spot option is affected by whether the kick crosses the neutral zone. The penalty is 5 yards from the previous spot if the kick does not cross. But if it does cross, then Team B does have the option for enforcement from the spot where the subsequent dead ball belongs to Team B at the end of the kick play. Element 5, freedom for ineligible players to advance downfield. For a pass play, Team A ineligible receivers may be or have been downfield unless the pass crosses the neutral zone. For a kick play, Team A players, all of whom are ineligible, may be downfield regardless of whether the kick crosses the neutral zone. Do not confuse this NCAA rule with the NFL rule that restricts Team A players from moving downfield until the ball is kicked. So for element 5, freedom for ineligibles to be downfield, there is an important difference between passes and kicks. For passes, the neutral zone is critically important, but for kicks, the neutral zone is irrelevant, contrary to what we've seen in the previous elements, and it's irrelevant with respect to whether being downfield is a foul. Element 6, freedom to interfere with eligible players attempting to catch the loose ball. For a pass play, any player may interfere with the attempt by an eligible player to catch a pass unless the pass has crossed the neutral zone. Interference then becomes a foul unless the ball has been touched. For a kick play, any player may interfere with the attempt by anyone to catch or recover the ball until the kick crosses the neutral zone. If the kick crosses the neutral zone, Team A players are ineligible to touch the ball, and they may not interfere with the opportunity for a Team B player to catch a kick. So for element 6, freedom to interfere with a player attempting to catch a kick, there is agreement between passes and kicks with regard to the neutral zone being critically important in its impact on whether there is a foul. Element 7, restrictions on batting the loose ball. Unlike for the 6 elements we've just discussed, provisions concerning batting and kicking a loose ball are presented in Rule 9, not in Rules 7 or 6. The good reason for this is that these provisions cover any loose ball situation, not just passes or kicks. Besides becoming loose due to a forward pass or a scrimmage kick, a ball can become loose as the result of a free kick, a fumble, or a backward pass. 223A covers that rule. For a pass play, any player who is eligible to touch the ball may bat the loose ball in any direction, though there is an exception that prohibits a Team A player from batting a backward pass in flight forward. But our focus here, of course, is forward passes. The neutral zone is irrelevant with regard to whether batting is legal. For a kick play, any player may bat the loose ball backward in the field of play. The neutral zone is irrelevant here, too. Batting a kick forward or in any direction in the end zone is a foul, regardless of whether the ball has crossed the neutral zone. So for element 7, restrictions on batting a loose ball, there is agreement between passes and kicks with regard to the neutral zone being irrelevant in the consideration of whether a foul has occurred. But there is a complication here, similar to the one I discussed for element 4 concerning the impact on the eligibility of a Team A player going out of bounds. While crossing the neutral zone is irrelevant for determining whether there is a foul, crossing the neutral zone is critically relevant to determining the enforcement options for a Team A foul. The provision in 6.3.13 that allows Team B to choose the enforcement spot for most fouls by Team A during a kick applies only during a kick play in which the ball crosses the neutral zone. So if the ball does not cross, enforcement must be from the previous spot as the basic spot. If the ball does cross, Team A may choose instead for enforcement to be from where the dead ball belongs to Team B. And there are yet 2 additional very important differences in enforcement based on the neutral zone. 1. The penalty for illegal batting by Team A also includes a loss of down, except in the case when a scrimmage kick is beyond the neutral zone. That's in 9.4.1. 2, if Team A bats a loose ball in Team B's end zone and Team B has not touched the kick, the result is an illegal touching violation, not a foul for batting a loose ball in the end zone. That's in 6-3-11. 8. Restrictions on kicking the loose ball. For a pass play, no player may kick a forward pass, regardless of whether it has crossed the neutral zone. In fact, no player is ever allowed to kick a loose ball. For a kick play, therefore, no player may kick the loose ball either, regardless of whether it has crossed the neutral zone. And be reminded here that kicking a loose ball is a different foul than an illegal kick. Illegally kicking, covered in 944, carries a 10-yard penalty and a loss of down. Illegal kicks, covered in 6310, carry a 5-yard penalty, make the ball dead immediately, and if it occurs beyond the neutral zone, include a loss of down. So for element 8, restrictions on kicking a loose ball, there is agreement between passes and kicks with regard to the neutral zone being irrelevant in the consideration of whether a foul has occurred. But there is the complication here similar to the one that applies to illegal batting. Namely, crossing the neutral zone is critically relevant to determining the enforcement options for a Team A foul. So I think there are 4 important takeaways for this comparison of how the ball crossing the neutral zone impacts pass plays and kick plays. Takeaway 1, the relevance of crossing the neutral zone during passes and kicks. For pass plays, the ball crossing the neutral zone is relevant in just 2 of the 8 elements I discussed. Element 5, the impact on whether ineligible players may be downfield. Element 6, the impact on whether players may interfere with opponents attempting a catch. For kick plays, the ball crossing the neutral zone is relevant in half of the 8 elements I discussed. Element 1, eligibility to touch a kick. Element 2, eligibility to advance a kick. Element 3, eligibility gained or regained. And element 6, players interfering with opponents attempting a catch. Only in the case of element 6 is the neutral zone relevant for both passes and kicks, determining whether interference is allowed. A foul during a passing down would be for offensive or defensive pass interference. A foul during a kicking down would be for kick-catch interference. Takeaway 2, relevance of crossing the neutral zone on penalty enforcement during kicks. For kick plays, we found that the neutral zone is irrelevant in elements 4, 7, and 8 with respect to whether a foul occurs, yet the neutral zone becomes relevant in determining penalty enforcement. The provision in 6.3.13 to provide Team B an option in penalty enforcement for most Team A fouls does not apply to kicks that do not cross the neutral zone. In addition, we found that a loss of down provision for illegal batting or kicking depends on whether the foul occurs beyond the neutral zone. Finally, we found there to be an exception that removes as a foul illegal batting by Team A in Team B's end zone. Instead, such batting is a violation. Takeaway 3, what it means for a pass or kick to cross the neutral zone. Here's how to tell whether a pass has crossed the neutral zone. Quote from 219.3a. A legal forward pass has crossed the neutral zone when it first strikes the ground, a player, an official, or anything beyond the neutral zone in bounds. It has not crossed the neutral zone when it first strikes the ground, a player, an official, or anything in or behind the neutral zone in bounds. End quote. And here's how to tell whether a kick has crossed the neutral zone. Quote from 2:16:7b, a scrimmage kick has crossed the neutral zone when it touches the ground, a player, an official, or anything beyond the neutral zone. End quote. The language for passes and kicks is nearly identical. The only meaningful difference is the additional adjective first in the case of describing a pass crossing the neutral zone. It's worth wondering why this difference exists. It's worth asking how important this difference is. In my view, the difference is quite important because it signals a meaningful difference in understanding how a play may unfold and impact our ability to handle outcomes properly. For a pass play, determining crossing the neutral zone requires the perspective of a snapshot, a frozen moment when the ball first touches the ground, a player, an official, or anything. The first touching establishes a point of no return. No subsequent activity during that down will change the type of play that we identify as occurring during this down. That means we know immediately which of two sets of rule provisions will apply when the down is over, either provisions for a forward pass that did or did not cross the neutral zone. For a kick play, determining crossing the neutral zone requires the perspective of a video, an ongoing narrative, because the point of no return may not be reached the first time the ball touches the ground, a player, an official, or anything. If the first instance of such touching occurs behind the neutral zone, there may be subsequent ongoing touchings until and if ultimately there is a first touching beyond the neutral zone. Only then is the type of play known for sure. To summarize the difference, at the end of a passing down, we need to know that a forward pass did or did not cross the neutral zone. At the end of a kick down, we need to know that a scrimmage kick has crossed or has not crossed the neutral zone. If a kick is blocked and remains behind the neutral zone initially, a different set of rules apply, then will apply if the kick gets eventually pushed beyond the neutral zone. Similarly, if on a windy day an airborne ball is blown back from beyond to behind the neutral zone, the ball is deemed to not have crossed the neutral zone. The point is that first touching definitively determines whether a pass crosses the neutral zone, but first touching may not determine anything about a kick, at least for a while, if that initial touching is behind the neutral zone. Takeaway 4. Relevance of classifying play type when kicks fail to cross the neutral zone. In light of these takeaways, I think I've now demonstrated why I am so bullish about busting the kick play myth that won't die, which goes, again, if the ball doesn't cross the neutral zone, it isn't a kick. Well, would you characterize a screen pass, which by design isn't supposed to cross the neutral zone, as not a pass? Is crossing the neutral zone any less relevant during passing downs than it is during scrimmage kick downs? If you want to apply the proper rulings concerning fouls, ball placement, ball possession at the end of the down, timing considerations, and other knotty issues, you must begin by correctly characterizing what kind of play or plays have occurred. So, that completes a nice baker's dozen of episodes for the Rules Plus podcast. I certainly hope many more are to come. Coming up in the next episode, now that we've completed discussion of 6 of the 15 sibling rules dyads I'm targeting for consideration, on the agenda for next week's episode is dyad number 7, which is the post-touchdown kickoff versus the post-safety free kick. As I think has been illustrated in discussing the 6 completed dyad pairs, I think you'll find that there's more to consider than meets the eye for this next pair of sibling rules. So I hope you'll be back next week to see if I can cover the stuff that makes you feel more confident when you take the field. I'm discovering interesting twists while doing my research every week, stuff that I think I knew, but that I worry I could easily overlook when a stressful, potentially game-altering situation arises. We're well into the season now, but even so, if you're not a member of the Austin Football Officials Association and would like to learn more about us, contact us. You can email us at recruiting@afoa.ws, visit our website at www.austinfootballofficials.org, or call us at 512-298-2987. Till next time, have a great week.